Hello. This is our final chapter of Mr. Skip. Let's see how the story ends. Chapter 7, in which Mum has a cunning idea and everything turns out just fine. So first of all, we had 20 brand new stables put up on the edge of the estate for the horses. But we made Marty and Barry promise that from now on girls could join the crazy Cossacks and ride in the Saturday race just the same as the boys. And a few months later we found our dream house with green fields all around it on a beautiful hillside out in County Wicklow. There was enough room for Gran and Auntie Mary to have a room each when they came to stay, and Mum could keep all the chickens and ducks she wanted. And when I looked out of my bedroom window now, there was no concrete tower blocks, no roads, no cars, just a great big wide sky and grass and trees and a winding stream and shifting sheep and Barnaby grazing in a field with a horse, my horse. I called him Skippy, of course, and he goes like the wind, of course. Mr. Skip himself lived outside by the front door. He told me that garden gnomes prefer to live outside. It's where we belong, he said. So I often went and sat there on the front doorstep to talk to him. He'd always listen, I knew that, and he'd speak to me sometimes, but not as often as I'd like. I began to get the feeling he was a bit sad all on his own out there. Then one day, Mum said she had a cunning idea. I was thinking, she began. I was thinking that Mr. Skip looks a little lonely and sad out there all on his own. That's just what I was thinking, I told her. Great minds think alike, she said. I was thinking that we could set up a sort of business, a little business that'll maybe bring in a bit of money and one that'll keep Mr. Skip happy at the same time. I reckon that, one way or another, that old gnome has done us a power of good. He's given you and me the best times we've ever had. And I'm thinking, one good turn. How does that saying go, Jackie? One good turn deserves another, I said. Right, said Mum. And so it was that the very next day, Mum put a big advertisement in the Irish Times. Wanted, any old gnomes. If you've got an old garden gnome that needs a retirement home, a nice place in the country, we'll take him free of charge. Fishing, lovely views. Within days, we had 50 old gnomes. Within weeks, we had 100. One by one, we repaired them and painted them. We put them out in the fields, under the trees, all over the place, and the ones with the fishing rods we put down by the stream. When we were ready, we put up a sign outside, Mr. Skip's Pixie Park. We charged €1 to get in, and they came in their thousands. We gave all of them a pixie hat to put on, big and red and floppy, to make them feel at home, and then they went on a tour of Mr. Skip's Pixie Park. As for Mr. Skip, he stays by the front door, looking out over his park. And he isn't lonely anymore. He talks to me all the time now. You can hardly stop him. He's so happy. Yesterday evening, I was sitting out there with him after all the visitors had gone, just watching the sun go down over the hill. Aren't we the lucky ones, Mr. Skip? I said. Luck? Replied Mr. Skip. What's luck got to do with it? And when he began to chuckle, it echoed from hill to hill and down the valley, so that it seemed as if every gnome and pixie in the park was chuckling with him. Perhaps they were. The end.